Before I leave the US to come back to Western Europe, where I was born and raised in Rome, and in England, London, villages inside it. Tennis circles, not a sports, but in town. Disneyland or India, whatever you want to call it. I want to tell you something. To the Western Europeans, you're a full satanist for me. Because you smashed my head in. Now, if the Vatican ever did get involved in anything, it would be space sciences. It's literally what La Sapienza knowledge and the other universities were anti. Essentially, the original Jamila had her head smashed on your lines. So obviously, I connected the doctor bells in 80 countries, without mentioning the states, 25 states. And there's a Scott Glenn film to stand around for retirement because not really myself, Disney, and those. Anything I have in common with myself is my eyebrows. Now, the fact that the US didn't understand what that girl was and called me Bin Laden or whatever. The fact you have in the Roman tribunal not only Dirk-Jan van Dam, the Hague, and the Bureau de Veritas for that girl with her beautiful buildings empty around the capital cities, mostly universities that she won't even bother. It's already known. The nails, peachy, I don't know. That's all news on the news. 2 to 1. You're the best of the best, US. Again. I could go back to Russia. I could go back to Arabia. Dirk. I want to. We never had any missing link, back to Rome or London. And I did many times on the retirement of the parents. I came back to Fresno, in the middle of the desert of California, with the hanging benches of Lara Quintas, and I worked against Fresno. Obviously, my father and my mother were born in plenty of counts beyond the capital cities. Their directorates, D1s, of Wall Street, UCI, USAID, work. Under 380 countries on which countries. That's humanitarian research. So Junior, having her head bashed in, wants to leave this country with his Coqueland film. It's not a question of those poor black people and the homeless and Daisy calling me Junior on my little crawlies. Not the crawlies, the little crawlies, because on the crawlies I had the house and both parents. On the little crawlies. My father had an injection at almost 76 in the lower part of his tummy. The mother was taken to Poland, rule of law. Now we direct Lara Quintas defending both parents. Cleanest record in the history of the Eastern Bloc to Russia. I'm not going to bother explaining it and re-explaining what I had in elementary primary school. Scotland Yard, the nails for the girl. Princess Diana de Camilla with white hairs. I'm not going to explain something that's old news. The fact that you cannot look at that girl without me, without feeling insane jealousy after her head was bashed in on those times when I came back as Indios, genetic graft from New England, New Hampshire, was set. And the parents from New York, California, is what caused modern revolutions for the parents to stay home for retirements. The Scott Glenn from as a child, as a wallflower. There's a alley street somewhere, no one knows where. And that's it, me. As for you see, this thing about I'm better than you is one of the ugliest things. Okay, anyway. So I'm going back to Rome. If you send any of your Ukrainian segvants here, the lot of shots, and that we already know, you need to, they call them cheap horse. They call the Ukrainian stunt a cheap horse stunt of hate towards me. I did a lot of shot to the next to the brook. Because nowadays, pro-Brexit Article 7, stupid times, Ukrainian war, Disneyland, connecting the dots globals, that's Rome, stay in Rome, but now there's no sacrifice to stay Rome. Stay out of the US. Your buildings are empty, they bashed your head in. That's unusual. Stay the fuck out, So, you knew that those guys were going to go down with me. The moment, but they were there. And Western Europe and other countries, globals. Because the one is the scientists. They're not going to play games with you. And they say she's worth every half penny when she's alive. More than that, that's for some new shit. The share went to the shit's still news. Hating me shows you're not normal as a nation. Only you smash the head and budgets on your cycles. Obviously, the Roman tribunal is making billions on dollar a shot. You didn't even fucking make it out of high school. Fucking federal prisoners from LA, born in France. Iranian included. Maybe you think that this is patriotic. Maybe you think you're American. You're not. You're just fucking assholes and bitches. And jealous ones at that, unless you want to say whores. So you're still paying for that shit on the worst nights. Because the CIA, when it sees something like that, has to fool with that girl. Especially if she was with them before. Especially if the beautiful buildings around the world that's empty because of me. Having my head bashed. Your new shit. Don't grow on trees and it don't grow on microchips. It was in the head of that girl. So, in the first right, fascist, even the Germans until half the Nazis can side with me calling you American shooting. So that's what news on the news for the nails. Shut the fuck up. Shut the front door, you ass. You're not nice people. As people, you're not nice. The German police is on some kind of phenomenal. Came back from the dead on the west side in Berlin and Stuttgart and all that. And I will not mind it to know her. Disney's nice. Oh, she's so sweet. Run. In other words, you're fucking assholes. Because that girl was famous and known for something. Lying about me. Denying my existence. Sending cycles. Ain't gonna happen. Fresno. Free school. I used to be on the Ghost Lines. The parents are on retirements. Around the world connected up to about was me. So they're from beyond. How many flyings? 92 and above. And heard a Bigfoot DOJ parents. And heard a Bigfoot DOJ parent. How many? Flyings 92 and above. And my runnings, that many. I really have no cause it's close. Oh my. They're recorded. So now you know what the US is. Okay. Unusual, but you know, they're the best. They can waste until, you know, then we got a big one. Jealousy, envy, colloquially in 80 countries, 25 states is all news on the news. Disgusting. So that's why they asked. You know, I have 147-221 in geological rebirth with that number. 221. To stay around for times. After that, Disneyland will not be reborn. For you will not see my face. I come and I go. Up and Rome. Even for me. Not only for the bank for sure. But even for me, at my age, at 50, 49, 50 babies. You see, they're very interested in the spaceship. Oh shit. That's coming out of Russia. Saudi, Turk, UN, Woolwich, Western European Mirror, and all of that. This has been in the CIA ages ago. I'm a smasher head in, they're still paying for that shit. Lama has an all. Everything about the mermaid. Come on. Sheep asses. Bring back a baby in her place. Orthodox bows and retirements. She has a crawlers and literal crawlers with a barrett. And on her little crawler she gets attacked by cycles. You got the Roman tribunal. Let's say the fuck out with the Scotland phone. Anyways, at your best after the rompiga best. At your best, worst. At your best. Knowing perfectly well that ain't changing nothing. But that Kyoto Fisto from before on the Ghost Lines. Or anything else. Dropbacks. Losses. Something you don't like because it's not your fucking brain that did it. Well, that brain's on the coastlines and it's buried alive. Smashing head and teeth. Now, think about these new kids. They even exist after smashing. Ugh. We call Roman. The Vatican on Opus Dei. Italians like that girl. Because she was that serious. She had something in her head that you didn't have. The beers! So when I saw those space breaks, and they saw that that girl was going to have her head bashed in, and it was like, so I come on. Who's celebrity? Junior. Which is like a bit pushing it because I'm Disneyland Indios. I'm not exactly. I'm on Facebook. All that shit. These retirements of Fresno were asking to stay out of the US. So while you have the ICE trying to kick out people out of this country, we're actually asking to leave this country. After what happened to the original Jamila, and after, behaving that many flies, run, the crawlies of the bay. Especially because you know who the fuck Fresno's intelligence is from the beginning to the end. And it's not what it claims. You're just what the fuck you are. Haters. And the psychos, who are federal prisoners of LA, were born and raised in Fresno. These are the Dolores shots. So that's the additional to Camden Dam. Warm out to worm and smashed in it. Roman tribunal for your beauties to feel powerful over the degenerate version Indians that lives in the house with the parents. Unfortunately, it's a blimp in time, and unfortunately, of course, the void on the ghost lines of beautiful buildings, especially if you smashed its head in. I know you don't like the JLo concept. I understand your first instinct, and I understand America. You're geniuses. The best. Sure, you're right. So when they say, please, the Scott Glenn film, Roman for Rome, parents like that from pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, directorates, D1s of Austria, DCY, USA, humanitarian leave services in 160, 180 countries, 140 countries, dropping aid, child that was a phenomenon space sciences and tech. They say, no. That shit has been emptying without me ever since. Or the Blum has. Why do you think they speak about basements and metros for that girl? Connect the dots club balls with the Blum has. I can change that? Can I change that in all those countries? Those scientists? Can I change that when I'm at Disneyland? Oh shit, what am I doing here? You have to connect the dots club balls. Okay, I am. I'm just saying, what about Fresno for the parents? What about the Scott Glenn film? About a girl that gets kidnapped. Yeah, and the parents worked with the UN, American Organized Stay in Rome. With iron benches or winters and now erect, defending them that many times, many flies, many runnings, many roads. When they say you're not really Mother Teresa of Calcutta, you're just not enough. I got 1 for 221 in Disneyland to tell you at least after all the crawlies and little crawlies. Before that, it was flies and runnings. It's the same times. Don't be such a callous motherfucking asshole that the cats and dogs will start talking to you in the capital cities and the birds going around in circles. Ever since I had my on the coastlines, you're gonna be sitting there and saying to me, I hate your ass. You hated me when I was alive. You hate me when I'm Disneyland. What the fuck Jamila was famous for, 221? Dolph. Around the world. What was she famous for in stupid times? Before you smashed her head in on the coastlines. So hate me. This way, Disneyland. Stupid times. A product of stupid times, genetics. Then you say to me, there's Ubers. That's a product of stupid times, because if you fucking smash her head in on the ghost planet, she's got empty buildings of space sciences around the world. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they made blues and pink. In other words, you didn't get to fucking kindergarten with the eggs. Crumbs. In other words, that's what you lost. That's what you lost on the ghost lines. If my relics are blues and pink, if you smashed her head in on the ghost lines, what were her buildings of Jamila? You can't listen. You don't even know that men in black children exist. You don't know that the space science shit breakers exist. Well, you smashed one on the ghost lines. It has a social security number 221, and you were so fucking happy that 221 came from those countries and Fourth Reich and all that. You ain't the Fourth Reich because the Germans were sided with me, Basler. And even Tierhaufen thinks that I'm some kind of as a caregiver when I was there, the Nazis came, you hero. 666, you are not 6969. We're not one of those. We're different. We're Nazis, so we go 666 on the license. That's what my master wants to say. But you know, my enemies are siding with me because of bitch assholes in California's coastlines. To mention the hanging benches of Lara Quintas and Nally Rick, that many motherfucking flies, runnings, and crawlers. Are you ass? You don't have parents like me. Shit, if I was a clone of myself, little Disneyland, I'd be better than your bitch. What's this shit that I'm better than you on the coastline? That shit's void. Motherfucker, I can't change it if you pay me $1 trillion. You know, Elon Musk moved to fucking Texas, but better. As for the cheapest whorish ass of Fresno, where the parents are on retire, we knew about Fresno from the very beginning. All the flies, all the runnings, and all the growlies of that car. Fresno is one of the most famous towns in the world in the middle of the desert of California. Why? Because of this! You retired a piece of shit. Famous for war, for being assholes and bitches. I'm not saying what a bunch of cheap assholes and bitches. Shit! You know, if they call the child from the freaking Lost Lines and brought her back like this Disney, oh God, they did what? He spoke about, well, I'm all too well, I'm bashing head. Why? I pretenders, why did they go burn a mermaid with her? We didn't know. We didn't know they were lost. We didn't know that they smashed your head in roller coaster and you came back as Disneyland. We didn't know that they were blues and pig in the egg school of the fucking UN. We didn't know. We didn't know. We don't know about the We didn't know that shit was for, and we didn't know that you didn't do cancer, the Lolas, and the other things, that you did the space program, little cats, but you did that. You are the biggest assholes I've ever met. You're woman and man. You can't admit what Jamila originally was famous for around the world. Even the fucking Vatican said he cheated on this one. Whether a Chinese, black or yellow, white, it don't make a difference. They're looking at the intel. They're looking at the spaceship. They're not looking at that. Race or ethnicity like the US or some jealous whore asses in the US. Shut up. As if it's sitting there, plump and dime, empty. On the second and fifth floor, the whole fucking division there of space science. I looked at them when I was 5 years old. I said, yeah, that's the literature division. I don't know that shit. It's empty. So go fucking cobwebs on it. What about the parents? Well, the parents are something else. I'm a trained poodle in the house. I mean, flyings! Beyond and behind the library. How many rhymes? Above the library, yes. Crawlies, little crawlies are baby. That doesn't exist. Trained poodle. How many crawlies I like to know who Lara Quintas and Nally Direct are, defending their parents with their life. That many times. And what the fuck Fresno is? You guys be sitting there saying tomorrow didn't notice all the lines of runnings and you wait. I was just sitting on the retirement of that child. I didn't know what that girl was good at. When she comes back as Disneyland, we're going to build Louisa and Zarcos. Stick in the Roman tribunal. You're ugly. 80 countries are looking at you like I am called Celebra in 80 countries. 221 is called Celebra. Because I came back as Disneyland to tell you that. How ugly you are inside. And with all the blessings of every motherfucking Vatican, Opus Dei, Muslims, Russians, Brits, Protestants in the circles, the whole shit. Even the German Nazis and Theo Hauptmann think you're shit in the US. Because I'm some kind of hero coming back as Disneyland. I'm sorry, California. I'm really sorry. And I'm 50 years old. 50. The only thing I have in common with the original Jamila is the eyebrows. Let's see. But I can tell you one thing. You're ugly inside. You're ugly inside and you're ugly outside. As people. Because it's not a question only the intel. Because you sent psychos after me. And you know what that girl did. Therefore, if you are that ugly inside, it's not worth staying here. There's a Scotland film. You have ICE, you have Trump, you have everybody coming into the US. There's those who have so much who want to stay in their countries. They don't want to come here. Either for retirements or with that dead baby, me. We don't want to stay here. And because I'm not a bitch like you, or a whore like you, And if I did become a prostitute, I'd probably be the best prostitute on the planet Watergate scandal. Not Monica Lewinsky or Salina. That could be gay to think, fine. They think if they call me a Jewish princess is a fucking compliment. I've had it. I myself all over this. You can't stop it. You can't see who your country is. You can't admit your losses. You can't admit that someone comes and gives you something and you fucking smash your head and then you want to get away with it. That was me. Now it's void. Because you smashed your head and you don't like the J-Lo concept. I can't help you. And I don't like the Mossad either. In fact, if we knew anything about that shit, we would have gone, hey, no shots. Don't understand intel. That's not the Barents either. So you can do all those flyings, all those runnings, and all them hassle. As for the Opus Dei about the Italians, that was the historic one. That was that historic intel shot that doesn't grow on trees or microchips, meaning the new shit in the head of somebody, and the others were flying with her on the Ghost Lines and elsewhere. On 92, 92 and above of the Barents and retirements, that's okay. On 85, 85, the runnings, no, because not only is she doing her shit elsewhere, of course she loves the Barents more than some career. Those children have a tendency not to be careerists. Bitches. In other words, I can't stop Harry Potter's gossip. I can't stop jealousy, envy. I can't stop people in those 80 countries as a child speaking about the ugliness of the US, the losses of beautiful buildings at La Sapienza and space sciences around the world at universities, the Black Mahas. I can't speak about it. I can't go to Dar es Salaam neighborhoods on my crawlies, literal crawlies in those cabins and look at, they did damn thing, Bush is back. There must be negatives out there. Just too good to waste. And those are the beggars in those capital cities. Do you understand that, US? Do you understand that? That's old news on the news with the nails. Scotland film. You only have 147-221 to make that happen. I wouldn't raise my hopes for the Mermaid or the Titanic because that's all news on the news. For the Black Mass around the world. Because the head was already bashed in on the Ghost Lines. The Italian Vatican saw a girl. Beautiful. Beyond beautiful. That's all I have of Jamila is the eyebrows. Yeah, that's it. Shut up. Who had that? You smashed her head in on the Ghost Lines. They saw that. And they saw the losses of the Intel. They saw the losses of that space tech. They saw the losses of that was in the head of that girl. The new shit. They saw the beautiful shit of sciences, the beautiful shit, even the cancer and all the others, the easier shit. They saw that girl coming out from the UN, Woolwich, Western Europe, the blood being Russian, Saudi, and stupid times. They saw her work in America for a long time in stupid times and then have her head bashed in on the Ghost Lines. They brought me back to tell you that. Connect the dots globals so that you could feel good about your tushies and your PhDs. Disgusting. So they call that Roman. It cannot change. It won't change for you. That's all news. They had a fixation with that girl. Because when they met her in the UN, where she was born in Rome, they saw something beautiful. Something extra. You saw that. So you smashed my face. Head, teeth, nose, bones. On your cushed lines. You were happy about it. So that's what 221 is. Understand now? That you're the best? Say again, I'm the best, I swear. Can we do the Scott Glenn film on this Disneyland after Global even for that? So, the Italians, who are Italians and Polish, nobody were looking at that spaceship and was saying, sorry, we don't want to give her some credit. I mean, we bring her back for nothing and they still fucking hate her. Nah, this is not normal. This is everywhere. And so that was the ghost celebrity. So I'm really sorry if you send your psychos to the Lores. I'm speaking the Roman tribunal, the silence, the rape, allora sto contando che ce lo sto facendo, okay. So that's the basics. Look in the garden at the age of 5, I must say, porchery. As for the parents. For the parents, there's the hanging benches, a lot of winters, and a lot of erect, depending on how many flags, how many rides, and how many waters. In other words, I can't think of this shit anymore. Fresno is famous for its girlfriends. Tom and Jerry Dark House, his buddies, his friends, his wingman, his girlfriends, the nurses, the nursing homes, the shooter. In other words, Fresno. In the middle of the desert of California, with a bunch of assholes locally. Quite frankly, it would do, yeah, they're private, that whole shit. Saying that they are who they are and claiming what they are around the world. There are people out there who, when they hear the word Fresno, they will, in Western Europe, they will, even the Nazis, they will just pick up their goddamn fucking instruments. What the fuck? Bomb that shit. At this stage, I cannot help you. I cannot educate the US. Because if you do that many flyings, and that many motherfucking runnings, flyings on 92 and above, accepted. 85, that many runnings around the world, you ain't gonna get nothing. You just did nothing. And at the end of 85, I get my head. There are times there. I'm young, I'm still running now. Now, bringing this back as this comedic relief, or what they call the rosy face, the Disney, the Indios, the tripod replacement child, the ballerina, I don't give a shit what you want to call it, is so bad that you have no idea in the Intel communities. Because in Intel, if you have your head bashed in on the ghost lines with that kind of intelligence, that even the Italians are going like this, with the Vatican included, that you are simply assholes. I'm born in Italy, in Rome. Those guys are looking at me like this. Phenomenal where? Oh, let's go laughter. In other words, you started a war in Fresno, and you're stupid. Because inside the US, don't know how to go to Fresno and finish with those hoes and assholes and those bitches. You don't have a father and a mother like mine. Born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, directors, D1s of humanitarian relief services. Work! In 60, 180 countries and 40 countries respectively. You know, pioneer champ. You were not even the original Jamila with the empty buildings around the world. After you smashed her head in on the ghost lines. Shitheads. Maybe I should become Bin Laden by now. So I'm not the same person. Yeah. No, but it's negatives. Man, I'm gonna get that's the byproduct of stupid times. I ain't fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. Quit it! You don't even know how they made them. Not the Manhattan Project. It's not the Manhattan Project. Much worse. In other words, you in the 21st century, literally, 2-1, didn't understand what that was. Because if somebody points out to you that there are actually empty buildings around the world, and they say, no, sir, I know countries with new fucking mathematics and sciences, and some cheap shit and biomeds and all that, you're going to say that's not possible. They exist. Those many black children exist. And I am the prime example of that. 2-1 is a big one. Yeah, and you're happy about it, you call themselves. That's why the Nazi skins in your house. I think that. And those small villages on Americanish Huren on the coastlines of California. Even my enemies will tell you that. That's all news on the news with the nails. You're pathetic. Go to school, get your PhD, I give a shit. I'll live in poverty somewhere else. But I'll be out of the US. And keep your limousines for all I give a shit. and your degrees, your paper degrees. Compare yourself to Poland and Romania with Polexit and Article 7 and the Ukrainian war going on to get the mother from Fresno to Poland, Poland to Russia with the rule of law, Natalie Duract and Laura Quitters. Both defending the father and the mother against your cheap asses in Fresno. There's hate and there's hate, but this is beyond. To me it is. Especially knowing as a child that my head had been bashed in on Yorgos lines with a skulk plan for, and learning to keep my mouth shut about it so that you wouldn't get offended in America because you're the best. Well, I only have 147-221 left to tell you on geological whippers that we want to stay out of here. We don't need to come to this country with everything and lose it. Okay? You can kick out the others from ICE. You can keep the shit void that's ours. Our space sciences, our technologies, and even our cancers. With Johnson, Pfizer, and all the international ones that were corporations in Western Europe that were with me in the metros and in the schools, in elementary primary schools with the black hats. Space sciences, techs, yeah, engineering, all that weird shit, and cancer. Because girl is dead. That's why those buildings in Los Angeles and some knowledge and all the places are empty. You smashed that girl's head in on the coastlines and you denied she lived. You denied she lived, but between the flyings and the runnings of that girl, they remembered her. That's why they brought her back, like Disneyland. I swiped 221 Indios. But you still denied her when that happened. And you sent your psychos, smelly whores, and bitches, just hot bitches. Prostitutes are better. To me, to the deceivers. After connecting the dots with Balfour today, I'm 50 years old. I can tell you this if I go back. I spent 6 years or more in San Francisco, between the trackings and coming back, and about 4 years in the Mediterranean, with London and the others. 10 years out of Fresno. I think it's my time at the age of 50 to come back. Maybe I'll say I'll come back. It doesn't really matter at this stage. I only have 147-221 left. I'm not here to prove that I'm better. I'm not here to prove that I'm the original girl. I'm not here to prove about some eggs. After you smashed in that girl's head on the girl's slides, the genetic freak schools, and you and they're not genetic freaks. Or in Woolwich to get in the circles. Speaking to me about King's Campus for me. It's turned into Pauper Camp. He smashed in my head on my girl's science school celeb. The news on the news. I have to keep my mouth shut so you can have your box theory moment. And I smash my head in on the ghost lines and feel that you're better whores. While the others are like, fuck, that's all fucking emptiness and that's another fucking sciences. That new shit that she was doing. Which is that? That goes Disney Angels. Keep my mouth shut so you can feel better about yourselves in America saying you're better. Western Europe sitting there with the empty buildings as well as Sabinsa and other universities. And I'm speaking to them, so that's the literature division. That's already blood in my head. I ain't doing no shit. Pretenses for that shit. I'm going. Those guys doing their shit. Just continues without me. Go balls. Don't like the Mossad either, obviously. Me as tackificated. And so, San Francisco, your dreams, huh? Thanks for smashing my head in on the ghost lines and hating me with your psychos here. The federal prisoners from LA born in Fresno. It's not going to reopen those buildings. You know Elon Musk. What happened to Elon Musk? I went to school with his family from South Africa. Not only did I grow up in South Africa and Mozambique, but in Rome. His family was in Rome too. His relatives, like Shadol Pata and others. They were my friends. Just like Laura Quitters and Nadia Direct. He moved to Texas. Goodbye. And I went to school for free. High school for free. College for free. Degenerate little Disneyland. After you smashed her head on those lines. Indios. When they were saying to me that there were negatives out there somewhere in Western Europe. That just wastes such a phenomenon, they said. So geniuses, what is beauty? And what you are, ugly inside. That's not the hanging benches with Laura Winters and Nadia Rector either. Too many fly! Run! Zoom 92 and above, 85, 85. What's this? On top. Cruel, isn't it? In other words, tripod. The tripod child. It's very unusual what happened because of Fresno's retirement for the parents. Extremely unusual. And believe me, it made the rounds of the world. Not on the flights, 92, 92 and above. It for sure made noise all over the world on 85, 85, the amount of runnings. You know what I'm saying? Many times over in those capital cities. On my Crawleys. Of course there's the Scotland though. And little Crawleys. Oh shit. So now you see why they look at you that way. And I am literally, at the beginning of the number, I started out proudly. Now I might as well be the candle in the wind. I mean, I was really fragile, but this is just like, So I've given up on connected dots with balls and you and that and the hind benches in the sense that it's noon. I haven't given up on that. I haven't given up on the hind benches. I haven't given up on that, but I've given up on you. I've given up on the US. That's why there's the Scotland thing. You don't see that about your own lives as individuals. You don't see that as losses on the coastlines. True, that became reality losses of beautiful shit. You don't see it because you sent your cycles. That tells me everything about this country. Everything. It tells me everything about your boys. It tells me everything about your girls in the 21st century. It tells me what insane jealousy you must have felt to smash the original Jamila's head on the coastlines 2-1, knowing that shit would go void and that she would have those guys with the platinum hair stand by her. It explains to me why the Harry Potter gossip in 80 countries and 25 states has on the streets around the capital cities gone nuts. It's one thing if you speak about the flyings with those communities. That many times, 92, 92. One thing, speak about that many motherfucking 85, 85 runnings of me. But when that shit's out there, on my rollies and these rollies, therefore, when you lose, at least lose with grace, like me. Because that's not your head that's bashed in on the coastlines. You lose that intel to 2-1. The meaning of 2-2-1, the big significance of 2-2-1. Even if you explain it to them a la Disneyland or degenerate Disney, they wouldn't understand it. They would get offended after their own pigabessa. Therefore, either you beat the shit out of your kids and you educate them, or you just move country. Linus, okay? And do me a favor. Start respecting the hanging benches of Laura Winters and Nadia Rector. Not that you compare yourself to Romania and Poland with Polacks in Article 7. What the fuck? I cannot, and then, your boxers of Romania, you're the artistic champion of intelligence. I'm not sure. First of all, you don't know how that worked. If you don't know what that girl did, you don't believe that shit. Who gives a shit? Then you won't believe that the girl had her head bashed in. She's asswiped 2-2-1. Go, familiar face, no familiar face. Go celeb around the country. Old news on the news now. You're going to sit there 2-2-1 and give a shit. Well, but that's the US for you. Just waste. And waste big, right? So you can have your fucking PhDs and your careers. Fuck. This is the career. That shit's empty. La Sapienza is empty. I can't even count the amount of fucking buildings. This is in nigga. That space sciences was yours. Excellent. But I didn't do bio. And was part of science, so we stuck it. Oh, I had that capability. Oh, yeah, you also had the corporations there. Might as well. So those guys at Plum has with me. That's the old news in the UN in the basement. Okay. Any questions? You smashed that girl's head in Omega Slides. She came back as Disneyland to let you know who the fuck you are. 221. So you erased her, but she came back. How did that happen? How could that possibly have happened, geniuses? Oh. But it's a different format. But, you know. So the Italians, being obsessed. Yeah. Mazzo che fono. No, the famiglia, no. Could be. Okay, bye-bye. You have the hanging bitches of Laurie Winters and Nolly Rick that many motherfucking times. Oh, I go look at a fuck cheap ass Fresno. I said to myself, I give up. You know what? Bomb them. No, space bomb them. Then why didn't you do? Well, you have intelligence, Fresno. Yeah, their version of intelligence. Appunto che ha la versione, even how fuck is like following the baby. In other words, you lose and lose and lose and lose. And it has shown why there are such reactions. And I cannot try to analyze Fresno, explain why the bitches and assholes in Fresno, why there's bad reactions for people who hear this shit and they're like, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, okay, then why did I come back? Like this. It doesn't make, it's not a question, it doesn't make sense. It's who you are as people, as individuals. You cannot control even your most basic instinct of not liking, dislike or hate. And no, even if you have a PhD, it's not going to teach you that. That's it. And I'm no Mother Teresa of Calcutta. SAP, not SOP, SAP. Okay, so don't start with me, why Intel did this and why Intel did that and why those guys, the professionals, did this and that. That's anything. Go to Fresno and do the space bomb. Not that you're killing yourself in Fresno with the FBI, because this, the hospital, the nursing home, this. Go in there and do the fucking space bomb. And not that you're testing variant space bomb on a few people you don't like. Just do it. And it's not me saying it. I don't care if it's the East Coast or Rome or London or also internationals. King Abbasi, who has 4 PhDs and has a whole Polish Shumansky neighborhood just as an addition, with the internationals, the Russians, the Arabs, the whole. And I haven't been to Turkey. Side of Grandpapa's side, but that's something else, okay? And I'm not going to, because they call me the missing link, therefore I'm not even gonna. And Fresno's nurses telling me, give us the contacts in DC, in the UN, the friends, the prime ministers, the presidents, and your father and mother. I just sat there, I just looked at these people and I said to myself, Fresno's lost it. You've lost it like ages of years. They motherfuckers from the beginning to the motherfucking end. And the girlfriends and the 5X pros and this and then you have the psychos and puppy ticks. They said that shit even they did the Roman tribunal though. Because they're federal prisoners and I like from Fresno. So. The Jodie Foster high school thing. But high school was only 13, 14 and 15. I was out at 15 for free. And even that high school with the president's kids just looking at this shit like, you know. So get the idea here. So, being born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, like being pioneer champions and early, being D1s, directorates, they were D2s for 20 years, then they became D1s. Directorates and all sorts. You say, why? USAID in 160 or 80 countries, 40 countries, work, humanitarian relief services, dropping aid in helicopters. That's something. That's work. That's, you know, to know how to help society. Okay? Now, the girl was good at science, or whatever you call that, weird science. She had her head bashed in. Under those lines, can we get over it? It's unchangeable, unmutable. There was the mermaid, there was the Titanic long ago, there's the plum hairs, there's that shit in the basements, and the metros with the plum hairs, the UN since childhood. And as a child, I couldn't change that. Therefore, When a 50-year-old who only has 147 to 2 to 1 in geological rebirth says to you, there's a Scotland film to stay out of your country, please. You can keep your beauties yourself, your beautiful empty buildings, because we're goners. Those guys will leave with me after the Rupiga has smashed the head of that girl. We're leaving. We're not reopening our beautiful buildings. We're leaving California. Leaving! With the blood mares. And you can keep your void and you can keep your blood mares. Because those guys have blood mares with me. We're leaving. That's already void and cannot change. The basements and the metros were the significance of loss in Intel. Because you smashed the head of somebody. Because there were flyers and runners who were scientists who ended up losing Intel on your coastlines. Therefore, that's permanent. So when the Italians, even the Vatican says, the Opus Dei, whatever you want to call it, the Opus Dei, says, phenomenal, dead head, bless her. And that was the historical shit. Intel said historical, they said historical. When I said to you, was it Intel that said it, you didn't give a shit. When I mentioned something about the Opus Dei saying you give a shit. Is that how superficial you are? Is that how crazy you are in America? That you need to go to church, or you need to go to mosque, or you need a Torah or something in a synagogue? Is that what you need to make yourself feel ladies? You don't know how to pray to God personally? You don't know how to look up at God as the creator? Or do you need to be hypocritical, superficial whores that even fucking Disneyland can see? I am not capable of what I was before, but I fully know who I am. Even as Disneyland. You, on the other hand, don't know who you are as people. And to have had my head bashed in on your ghost lines, that was the cool celeb. Those were the beautiful empty buildings, according to everybody. Even the Nazis in Tierhofen. Now that you know what I always knew, do you know why there's this Cokeland film? Beauties. No wonder they call it stupid times. Because mentally retarded times. Get it, stupid times. You don't like the J-Lo concept? Stuff it. You want to change it. That globals with the 221s with the that's out. You lost that intel. All of it. It will not reopen. Those buildings won't reopen. You can reopen your 9/11 banks. You almost had cheap-ass banks. That's all you will reopen. And I'm not Elon Musk. Those guys said those were your buildings. Those guys who had the platinum hairs were with me. The inner circles of Woolwich. The German aerospace even mentioned me. The Russians, the Saudis, the United Nations, La Sapienza University. These are universities around the world with the empty platinum hairs. With the empty buildings, not platinum hairs. And I'm saying that was you. That was 221. That's what happened to you. You had your head bashed in on the ghost lines. You have eggs, you have negatives that belong somewhere else to other agencies. That's it. And if they are in the US, they can only work on very specific particular projects, far away from the assholes out there and bitches. Why? Because the cycle's following you. Why? They know what you did? Yes. Are they jealous? Probably. Are they insane? Probably. Are they American? Yes! They're American. Now, you have called celeb. Even in Tierhofen, the Nazi skins. You have it in Russia, Arabia's, UN, Germany, England, and all those 80 countries. Looking at you as bitches, because you didn't kill Jamila. You smashed her head in. And those bridges, whether they're in DC or Rome or Cairo or Saudi Arabia or Russia or London or Warsaw International, in that square hostel, being hostel with the grey bridge shut up, all of these are shut up, Rome included. They said that was you, Jamila, with your friends. All those bullets on the coastlines. US. And you didn't notice. You didn't notice in California. That many flyings of the girl. That many runnings of the girl. 92, 92 and above, 85, 85 and above, and the many grows. Wonder why there are Canadian consulates around the capital cities and over 20 years of cement trucks following me before retirements? Why does Laura Quintus and Nally direct in elementary primary schools, one who works in Brussels for the rule of law, the other one in DC, with the hanging benches of Amy Quintus, the sister, who had the theater of Frog and Peach and everything else, saying, be a bully, 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 bullies, get out. Get Fresno. That's who you are, California. That's who your bitches are. Keep them. But you'll keep the void of Jamila. Because you smashed her head in. And those guys will never give up on that girl. Never. They even brought her back as Disneyland to prove that. Connected those globals. And they have negatives. Who is not the original Jamila, and I'm not the original Jamila. And we're staying in Rome for retirements. You shit. So if my crumbs are those blues in me, after my head was smashed in on your coastlines, Rompicabessa, and you made it look all rosy, we want from you an explanation, US. A, what happened to that girl? Why are such losses happening in the US on the coastlines? And most importantly, who the fuck is Fresno's intelligence with the hanging benches of Laura Quintus and Nally Direct defending the parents? That many flyings of the original Jamila, that many runnings of her, 85, 85, and that many crawlies and little crawlies of me, the tripod child, and little crawlies. And who are these psychos that we can sue with the Roman tribunal as Edition did Ken Van Damme for the beauties in California? The psychos, the true psychos, and the idiots. And the jealous ones. You wonder why Called Celebrity 221 exists around the world before retirements and during retirements with Disneyland. That's why, ladies. And as for the Vatican, you could shove it up your ass. They blessed the original Jamila, not you. And they blessed even Disneyland because they want to know what kind of animals you are. They already know. I already had my head bashed in. I'm Disney version of that girl, Indios. But there is the Hague, the Bureau de Veritas, the Roman Tribunal. If you kill me here, there will be a second Hague. For me alone. So your bitches can have fun. They don't understand why that shit's empty. They don't understand that they smashed the girl head down on the coastlines. And they're jealous of this girl. The tripod replacement, the nails. They're not normal. So if you're the best, which I doubt you are, and say it again, I'm leaving. There's the hanging benches of Laura Quintus and Nally Direct that many times. We're staying out of this country with the Scotland film. You can bring all your new talents, all your new beauties, all your new PhDs. That shit's empty because you smashed your head in. Basta! As for the blessings from those guys, if I go back, I go back. I'm 50 years old. I'm tired. I'm physically tired of the crawlies and little crawlies out of Fresno. Of me. For the barrels. Because I did connect to those globals. That was tiring in itself too and quite depressing too, but that's not going to that one. Okay? And as for, if you sent some psycho Ukrainian like here from Dolores and there, they already beat the shit out of you, spam killers. Don't bother. I'm 50 years old. So I'm going back to Western Europe. I'm 50. If I get a job again, I'm good. If not, don't give a shit. 50. It's over 10 years I'm out of Fresno. On the little crawlies of me. And crawlies, little crawlies. And that's it. Go back to my friends. Where I grew up. England, London, Western Europe, Rome, the UN. And we still have 147-221 to make Roman for Rome happen. Many? And that's it, okay? And as for Your beauties, they're not the best. I'll tell you that right now, US. Don't start. So, and so Disneyland is goodbye. And as for the Italians, I want to thank the Italian intelligence, Western European intelligence, inner circles and Woolwich, of course my peoples, and the UN for being able to come back to you. Thank you. See you soon. The little left that I have. 147 221, not enough time to do Roman for Rome. Disneyland will not be born after they don't pick up us on the bus lines. Okay? Bye-bye. Che celebrate one.